Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So this video is a quick preview and prediction for Kiko Martinez versus Josh Warrington 2. This fight goes down on the 26th of March, takes place at the First Direct Arena in Leeds. Of course, Kiko Martinez is the IBF featherweight champion. Of course, he recently won that belt by causing a seismic upset by knocking out then champion Kid Galahad. That was a fight that was supposed to be a routine title defense. Of course, when that fight got first announced, it was much maligned, and the narrative was that Kiko Martinez was washed, seen better days, etc, etc, which is what I agreed with. And even on fight night, as the fight was playing out, Kiko Martinez looked exactly that, a guy who was well past his sell-by date, and quite frankly he was getting soundly outboxed, but then Kiko Martinez pulled out the punch from the gods and knocked out Kid Galahad. So that was a huge upset at the time, and that is what Kiko Martinez is coming off. Josh Warrington is funny because Josh Warrington originally held this belt, but he vacated it because he didn't want to fight his mandatory Kid Galahad, who went on to win the vacant title and then proceeded to get knocked out by Kiko Martinez. So Warrington vacated the title. He then fought Mauricio Lara as a tune-up. He ended up getting knocked out by Lara in brutal fashion. He then rematched Lara, which ended in a technical draw because Josh Warrington was headbutting. And here we are. Josh Warrington hasn't won a fight since he vacated that title, but here he is, fighting for it. That makes absolutely no sense to me, quite frankly. If anybody deserved a shot at that title, it was Mauricio Lara. But there we are. I just don't like the cynical nature in which this fight has come about. But it is what it is. That aside, is it a good fight? Is it going to be entertaining? Absolutely, in my opinion. So maybe I'm complaining a little too much. I just don't think Josh Warrington really deserves a title shot based on his past performances and actions. But nevertheless, let's break down the tale of the tape. And we shall start with the champion Kiko Martinez. He has a record of 43 wins, 10 defeats, 2 draws, 30 of those 43 wins coming by way of knockout. Josh Warrington has a record of 30 wins, 1 defeat, 1 draw, 7 of those 30 wins coming by way of knockout. Kiko Martinez is listed as 5'5" with a 66-inch reach, whereas Josh Warrington is listed as 5'7" with a 67-inch reach. So Warrington is 2 inches taller, he's 1 inch longer, and all around he is just a bigger featherweight. Kiko Martinez isn't the biggest at featherweight, so Warrington has the size advantage in this bout. Josh Warrington, of course, is an orthodox fighter, as is Kiko Martinez. However, Kiko Martinez is 36 years old, whereas Josh Warrington is 31 years old. And the ages in this fight is definitely a factor. Kiko Martinez been around a long time now, fought at title level for a long time. He's been in several hard fights, been stopped a few times, fought some elite level competition, and I would hazard a guess and would say that Josh Warrington has more in the tank in comparison to Kiko Martinez. So in my opinion, Josh Warrington is the fresher man, and obviously on top of that, he's taller and longer, he's bigger for the weight, so he does have a lot of advantages going into this fight. The only real significant advantage Kiko has at this stage is that sheer punching power. That's one thing Kiko Martinez still has, is that power. Just ask Kid Galahad, of course. But in regards to the stylistic matchup, what I believe each guy should do to win, I shall start with Josh Warrington. Now, I think he'll approach this fight in a similar manner to which he did the second Mauricio Lara fight in the first round. If you look at that second fight with Lara in the first round, Josh Warrington wasn't holding his feet as much as he's done in his prior fights. In particular, that first fight with Lara, where Lara just walked through him because Warrington was standing in front of him. What you would see was that Warrington would lead with a jab, maybe throw a right hand left hook off that jab, and then get out and reset. That's what he was doing in that first round against Lara. He wasn't hanging around in the pocket against a big puncher like that. and I expect him to adopt a similar game plan in this fight. I think you'll see a more circumspect Josh Warrington, a more safety first Josh Warrington, and ultimately just a Josh Warrington who is paying more attention to defense than we are used to seeing, because prior to that Lara fight, Warrington had no problem in sitting in the pocket, trading hooks, outworking you, pushing you back, etc, etc. We saw him do that all throughout his career, but I wonder whether that Lara fight could be a turning point in regards to his style, in particular against another big puncher in Kiko Martinez. And of course, Warrington has fought Kiko before, and first time around, he fought Kiko with in quite an aggressive fashion for a lot of punches. He met Kiko in the centre of the ring, and Kiko gave him a really hard fight. I felt there was a couple of times in that fight where Kiko definitely hurt Warrington, so he's going to know, post that Lara fight, given what happened in that first Martinez fight, he's going to know what Kiko can bring to the table, how hard he hits, and sitting in front of this guy will be a big risk. So I expect Warrington to utilise that jab a lot more in this fight, try to utilise that height and reach advantage, keep Kiko Martinez on the outside, because primarily Kiko is most dangerous at mid-range in my opinion, and on the inside, but mainly mid-range. That's when he can generate most of his power. So I think you'll see Warrington maybe step off a jab, try to get Kiko to reset, maintain range, and basically pick off Kiko from a distance and build up an early lead on the scorecards, and try and take the fight into the second half, where the older man in Kiko is going to get more desperate, he's going to get more tired, and I would imagine at that point Josh Warrington might be a bit more eager to go through the gears, let go of a few more shots, and try to pick off Kiko coming in, and maybe put it on him, to be honest, maybe actually put some combinations on him, and wear out the old man. But I certainly, I would certainly suggest that Josh Warrington in this fight makes a relatively circumspect start. Don't give too much away early on, don't get caught by a big shot early on and give Kiko confidence, because Kiko absolutely is a confidence fighter, no doubt about it. So yeah, I think Josh in this fight early on should be boxing out of that high guard with a long jab, half step back, the straight right hand down the pipe, and really picking his moments when to attack, then get out, make Kiko reset, rinse and repeat. That's what Josh should do in this fight early on, and as the fight plays out, as it gets later, then adjust your game plan if necessary, maybe apply a bit more pressure if Kiko's starting to fade, to put an exclamation point on the performance. So yeah, I just think Josh needs to do what he does best, which is in and out movement, which he can do, but he just needs to be more, a little more controlled with his boxing. Box behind the jab, tighter guard, etc., and pick your moments more so than just flurry away and hope you land more shots than he does, kind of thing. As for Kiko Martinez, I mean, it's really hard to know what to say here, because I can't envisage a scenario where Kiko Martinez can outpoint Josh Warrington, unless he drops him like 3 or 4 times, which I can't see happening. I think Kiko's best chance in this fight is basically what he did to Kid Galahad, and that is to knock Josh Warrington's spark out. Early on in this fight, I think Kiko needs to be coming in low from a crouch, firing that jab, the up jab to the head, or the jab to the body, coming in low, quick feet, with a few feints as well to try and draw the jab or draw the lead of Josh Warrington, and then get underneath and work away. I think he needs to make this uncomfortable for Josh Warrington very early on. Can't afford to let Josh Warrington get a foothold in this fight early on and box his fight. Kiko needs to start strongly, close that distance with head movement, with level changes, get to the body, work away, and try and drain Josh Warrington, and essentially drag him into a street fight, because who knows, after that first Lara fight, maybe there are still some mental demons in the mind of Josh Warrington. Try to draw Josh into that sort of fight. Start really well, try to crack him early with a big shot, maybe get his attention, even hurt him early on, to try and trigger those memories of a Lara fight, which could make Josh Warrington fight an emotional fight and get involved in a bit of a tear-up, which would favour, or it would at least give Kiko Martinez a much better chance to land a killer shot. And I certainly, well, we know Kiko's got the power to hurt Warrington. He hurt Warrington a couple of times in their first fight. Not badly, like he wasn't on death's door, Josh Warrington, but he was feeling those shots in that first fight. So, you know, Kiko's got the power. As we know, he hits very hard, even at featherweight. Even at his age, he hits very hard. But he needs to find that target early on, and he needs to make it very uncomfortable. And again, there's no real mystery to how Kiko wins this fight. It's by knockout. I think he's going to have to take chances early on to close that distance and turn it into a street fight. He's going to have to take chances, but I expect Kiko to do so. But we shall see. In regards to who I'm picking to win this fight, I am picking Josh Warrington on points. I believe it's going to be relatively competitive, but quite frankly, I don't think Kiko is as good as he was when Josh Warrington first fought him. Is Josh Warrington as good as he was back then? Who knows? But I certainly believe, despite that big win over Kid Galahad, that Kiko Martinez is well past his best and not as good as what he was when Josh previously fought him a few years ago. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to go with Josh Warrington on points. I think that's the safe bet here. Of course, you can never rule out Kiko Martinez's power. That's going to keep him in the fight. But I've got Josh Warrington on points. How about you guys? How do you see this fight going? Are you going with Josh Warrington to become a 2-time IBF featherweight champion? Or are you picking Kiko Martinez to pull off another big upset? Share your thoughts below. It's been your guy Delboy. Peace.